I had a pretty broad New Year's resolution for 2024. I wanted to get involved in a cause, which in my mind meant doing something to make the world a better place. Humanity is really awesome and beautiful, and I firmly believe that. We are full of so much passion and love, but at the same time, there's a lot of suffering that is avoidable, like world hunger or global conflicts. Those are terrible things, but they are problems that we can fix, or at the very least make slightly better. So I wanted to do that by getting involved in a nonprofit or joining some movement, and I knew exactly where to start. Something with animals. Animals are great! I mean, look at this tiger! Isn't that amazing that that exists? It's kind of crazy! But why do they need our help? Well, it's because we have caused animals a lot of unnecessary suffering. Sometimes indirectly, but other times very directly. Climate change, animal fighting, factory farming, mass extinctions. And the consequences have been very real. Climate change has reduced some animals' natural habitats. Things like animal fighting and factory farming put creatures in unnatural settings where they are abused and suffer physically and mentally. Mass extinctions have happened at the hands of humans and continue to happen. So if you want to fix those problems, where do you start? Well, I have an answer. When you do something, things happen. There are a ton of organizations that have made it their mission to protect animals and the environment. So I did some research on ones that have a presence in my area, and I signed up to volunteer at a nature festival. The Tres Rios Nature Festival, an annual event held in Arizona in February where, get this, all the animal and environmental organizations just meet up. And so I was walking around and I saw this booth where there were these people wearing their sun hats and explorer vests, and they had binoculars on, and they were surrounded by photos of beautiful birds. It was the Audubon Society's booth, an organization that's whole mission is to protect birds. And my life was about to change. There were two older gentlemen in that booth named Chuck and Bob, and they were like, "Hey young lad, do you like birds?" And I was like, "Yeah, birds rock." And they said, "Yeah, that's right. Do you want to go on a bird walk?" And I was like, "Right now?" And they were like, "Yes, right now." And so they gave me a pair of binoculars, and we walked maybe 50 feet away from the booth because we were already out in the mountains. And that's when I saw my first vermilion flycatcher. The most adorable and beautiful, cool-looking birds, and that they just zip around. They go from their perch, and then they zip around to catch whatever insect they're looking for, and they go right back to where they started. And I was sold. I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. Whatever the birds need, I am in. And looking back on it, in a way I've realized that truth was staring me in the face the whole time. I've always thought birds are awesome. And part of that is because of my love of dinosaurs. I fell in love with birds last year when I took a university course on dinosaurs. And we did a unit on birds where we learned about their different types of feathers and their evolution and their incredible inner workings. And I still can't get over the fact that birds are literally dinosaurs. It's so amazing to me, but also a lot of that love just comes from the fact that they are beautiful and super cool, and the fact that they can fly. So I started researching birds and drawing birds, and I got more involved in the Audubon Society by reading their magazine, participating in their programs, and making small donations. But probably the most important thing I did was read about the Audubon Society's history, because it helped me find something that I had been searching for when I started looking for a cause, which is hope. When the first Audubon Societies were founded in the 1890s, birds were being killed in the hundreds of thousands for sport and for fashion. It was genuinely a slaughter. There were no protections in place, and birds were being harvested and killed, and many of them were going extinct. Things were bad, and it looked pretty hopeless. I mean, just look at that hat. But groups of people who really cared about birds wanted to change the situation. So they banded together with the objective of stopping all of it, which must have seemed impossible at the time. But through a ton of combined effort of scientists, artists, and everyday people, They got Congress to pass the Migratory Bird Treaty Act in 1918, which made it illegal to kill a number of bird species, decades before the environmental movement had even started. And then they just kept going. When there was no federal legislation protecting ducks and other water birds in the 1930s, they established nature sanctuaries to protect them. In the 1970s, when it was discovered that the pesticide DDT was needlessly killing birds, they helped get it banned. And now today, they are expanding their mission of protecting birds outside of the United States through programs like Conserva Aves, where they partner with South American countries to protect their immensely biodiverse habitats. Today, there are hundreds of Audubon societies across the country, and they're engaging with their local communities to educate them about birds and to get them involved in citizen science projects and to get people to care about the environment, which is pretty great. But despite all of this progress, there is still a ton of work to do. Over the past 50 years, bird populations have declined. And we know from tracking population data that we've lost 3 billion birds since 1970, a 30% drop in the North American bird population. There are a lot of factors contributing to that, but a lot of them are similar to the challenges that are facing animals across the planet, like habitat loss and collapsing ecosystems. But the great thing is that Audubon is working to halt and ultimately reverse the decline of birds across the Americas, and it's something that they invite anyone to get involved in. And the reason I'm telling you about this is not necessarily so that you'll go out and help birds. I mean, if you do, fantastic. It's to tell you that if there's a big problem in the world that you want to fix, there is an organization out there full of people that also want the same thing. So my ask is that you get involved in a cause of some kind. It doesn't have to be about birds, but have it be something that you care about, something that you genuinely love. Getting involved in a cause is seen as a selfless act, but it's not all sacrifice. There are so many personal benefits that come from getting involved in trying to make the world a little better. And one of those things is that it will feel like a good use of your time. It is so worth loving things and doing things out of love. Thanks for watching this video, and have a very happy new year. If you'd like to donate to the Audubon Society or learn more about their efforts to protect birds, there are 2 links in the description. One is to their donation page, and the other is to their flight plan, which is their strategic plan to help reverse the trend of declining bird populations.